Okay, for the last part that I want to show on camera, I'm going to paint a company logo here with an orange stripe going over the two elements. So I want to do that in orange, and I feel like we can say, okay, the color of orange kind of fits into a triad with the green and the purple. So sort of like this. We have the purple for the shadows, the shades here, and the green. It's yeah. So the highlights are more yellow than green, but the green is in the base color, and we have this triad when we add a bit of orange. So I still feel, you know, going just one step to the left and one step to the right a bit fits usually. The colors I want to use for this are the Chimera colors. I'm going to use the orange, and I'm probably going to mix a bit of the warm yellow in, so that yeah, it gets toned down a bit and not as, you know, dark as it is here. But we'll see. I'm just going to put some on the palette and then see how much I want how much yellow I want to mix in. The reason I want to use the Chimera colors is because the pigment is really dense and they have good coverage, so we won't need to paint a lot of layers. And since I need to paint the chipping on directly, since I don't want to use any chipping medium or stuff like that, I want one pass coverage, or you know, just a good coverage, so I don't have to touch these areas a couple of times, because I feel like if I have to retouch, especially chipping areas or chipped areas, that kind of doesn't look as natural anymore as it should. So, like I said, I think I want a bit of a lighter orange, since this is a rather dark orange. And yeah, I guess we have to try it out and go in directly, and then adjust on the fly. So what I want to do is I want to have a stripe that goes yeah, over the two elements, like I said, and then on top of that I'm going to paint in a company name, so the manufacturer of this weapon maybe. So like I said, I want the stripe to be somewhere here, and then the writing up there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start in the middle of this stripe. There's two reasons for that. First, we want the outside to be chipped, and we're not in danger of starting too white and having to narrow down the line a lot afterwards will destroy what we painted below it. And we can also test the color. So I'm going to just stipple on the orange slightly. Yeah, I think that's fine. So just going to extend this color. So leaving some areas out so that I can add scratches that go through. Yeah, just turning around the alignment so that I can eventually approximate a straight line here. Yeah, you can see the intensity is good, I think. Coverage is also good. So we can continue doing this. Right, and so this upper edge is probably not getting as much wear as the lower ones, so I'm going to keep that pretty consistent. Just got to make sure that it's parallel with this line, otherwise it will look strange. Okay, yeah, I think I like that. A few things that I want to try is maybe play around a bit with white scratches that reach into the orange. So let's try that. Okay, to not start too intense, I'm mixing a bit of this color that I used to shade the white, and I'm adding white so that we have more of a gray color. And yeah, just putting a few dots on there to increase the effect that we achieved here. Just making this scratch down here wider, for example, just so that the edges are sharper and more credible. Just so that the edges are sharper and more credible. Because the other color, the Chimera color, is thicker in pigment, like I said, and leaves some weird or some wider. Basically, it looks a bit darker on the outside than it does on the inside. I think you can still see that, so I'm just trying to correct that a bit. And then again, just adding a bit more detail, a bit more scratches. Yeah, that way just everything starts to feel a bit more realistic, a bit more alive. And like I said, on some of these lower parts, we definitely need that white to come through again. Because it's an edge and we just want this to be more intense and more contrasting against the orange. Yeah, and then we can just do this scratch a bit longer up here so that it looks like something not only scratched into the orange but also into the white area. Yeah, just all these tiny chips and color variations just add to the realism a bit. Makes everything look a bit more realistic and more alive. It's a bit like we are we're applying a layer here, and then that layer needs to be integrated with, or filled with life and story. So just a stripe of orange would probably look really artificial. So yeah, all these integrations where you can, like I said, see that okay, something is scratched along here across the white, and then it also scratched into the orange, or the other way around. For example, we can also let's maybe take this scratch here, and then we can say something scratched from the orange into the white, and we're just dragging a bit of that color up there. Like this. And to maybe have that here too. So like I said, that makes everything look a bit more credible, a bit more alive. Tells a bit of a story. Okay, so let's do the company name. Just try fitting how far I want to go. So I think we can spread it out like this. How much room I have for the 4 letters. And then I just carefully start with the lines. Trying not to make them too wide initially. Always making sure that you have good consistency on the brush, so that the color actually comes off the brush. Just stylizing the font a bit. Right, and then I'm just going to bring out the white scratches again, a tiny bit. Just have them pass through the writing. Start a bit darker maybe. To draw everything together. Right, and yeah, that's it. Still have to do something with this cable here, so I'm going to quickly paint that black. Okay, so we could leave it like the subtle black. I think I want to try something a bit more colorful. So I'm imagining this being, you know, some experimental weapon that she maybe stole. Being a prototype and all, it's probably not being, I mean, so one thing when doing weapons, we kind of have to realize, okay, it's not going to be super bright, because if it's wielded in the field, then, you know, having metallic parts, reflective parts, or super bright parts on a rifle is probably not a good idea if you line weights and want to shoot something. You don't want to have the sun reflecting off of it or being really bright and in your face. But I kind of consider this being a bit of an experimental weapon that she somehow managed to snag up. So that's, you know, I also don't think you would have a cable running on a rifle that is ready for the field. It would probably be inside the casing, right? So I'm going to just paint lines on this, and I'm using white because I want to paint over this with a yellow. And just making sure they're somewhat equally spaced out. Okay, once that is done, I'm taking some of this yellow and I'm going to cover the white, and it typically only needs one layer. Okay, so that does look a bit, you know, plasticish, not really convincing. So I'm going to paint one shadow, and I'm going to paint the highlight too. For the shadow color, I'm using a reddish brown. Yeah, maybe warm frank brown is better. The touch of orange. So just going to touch the sides of the yellow, since she's holding it more like that. we would expect our shadows to be on this side. I think it's a bit tricky because the direction of the pipe changes of that cable. I think that's fine. Right, so that creates a bit of a shadow effect. Just a subtle hint. Okay, that makes everything darker, more credible, and then I'm going to just use ice yellow for highlights. And I think we can use it pure, let's see, pure on the yellow parts. Just a thin line across. I think we can use it on the black too, it's no big deal. We need some highlight in that anyway. We're just carefully extending that line. That is assuming the cable is reflective, and it doesn't matter so much if we use a white instead, or just this ice yellow. It's not that much difference if it is just a thin line. Just making it consistent. Over the whole length. Yeah, I think that's good enough. Okay, that finishes our rifle. Next up, I want to paint the mechanic hand, and I'm going to decide whether or not to incorporate some light, maybe in the recesses there. But yeah, see you next video.